Welcome to this explainer on the Mandika Upanishad, the blueprint of reality. Today, we're going to uncover how a genuinely ancient text provides a complete, totally practical map of human consciousness. We're diving into something truly profound here, a foundational piece of Vedantic philosophy that tackles the absolute biggest questions about who we are and what reality actually is.
So think about this for a second. Imagine if every waking moment, every weird dream you've ever had, and even that blissful state beyond thought could all be contained in just one sound. Om. I know, it sounds like an impossible claim, right? How in the world can three simple sounds represent the entire universe, the depths of your mind, and the absolute ultimate reality itself? Well, a lot of us have heard the chant of Om, or Om, but according to the classical teachings we're unpacking today, it's not just a word. It is literally the manifest universe, the unmanifested potential, and absolutely everything that exists, past, present, and future.
And here is what's truly shocking about all of this. The Mandukya Upanishad maps out this immense, mind-bending reality in a remarkably brief 12 verses. That's it. It's the shortest of all the principal Upanishads. Yet the great sage Adi Shankaracharya famously said that these 12 verses alone are absolutely sufficient for achieving ultimate liberation, or moksha. So despite being incredibly short, it gives us a brilliantly clear and complete roadmap to understanding reality.
Section 1. The Blueprint of Reality. Everything is Brahman.
Okay, to really grasp this bold core premise, the idea that your inner self is completely identical to the ultimate cosmic reality, we need to look at the blueprint of the mind itself. The text breaks the syllable down into its phonetic building blocks, A, U, and M, and it brilliantly charts each of these letters directly to a specific state of human experience, states that you, me, and literally every person on Earth cycle through every single day.
Section 2. 3 states of daily life. Peeling the onion.
Let's start right at the surface level where we spend most of our waking hours. The first state, represented by the letter A, is Jagrat. This is where our consciousness is turned totally outward toward the gross material world through our senses. The sources detail how we gather data through 19 different inputs. We're talking about our 5 senses like sight and hearing, our 5 organs of action, the 5 life forces or pranas inside the body, and 4 internal instruments like the mind and intellect. In this state, we strongly identify with our physical body, our name, our job title, and we completely mistake this external, physical world for the absolute ultimate reality. But the Upanishad applies this fascinating logic called niti-niti. It systematically strips away this waking reality by showing us that it's impermanent, and therefore it can't be the final truth. Niti-niti essentially translates to not this, not this. It's a method of negation. Look at it this way. Because the waking world is constantly changing, and because we completely leave it behind the moment we fall asleep, it simply cannot be the ultimate, unchanging foundation of reality. So we actually have to discard it as the absolute truth. So we peel away that layer, and we go a level deeper to the U sound, swapna. Here, consciousness turns entirely inward, building a subtle, personal world entirely out of your past impressions and desires. In this dreaming state, the external physical world is totally gone, but your experience absolutely continues. Your mind is incredibly busy weaving elaborate stories, reliving memories, or just creating entirely new, subjective realities out of thin air. And think about it. The pain, the pure joy, the intense fear you feel in a dream, it feels 100% real while you're in it, even though your physical body is just lying perfectly still in bed.
Let's just pull back for a second and see how this journey is building. It's actively guiding us inward, moving from the solid physical objects of the waking world into the subtle inner landscapes of our dreams and preparing to take us to a place of total unawareness. We've journeyed from the A of our outward waking life right into the U of our inner dreaming life, bridging the gap toward that final phonetic sound.
And that brings us to the M sound, sushupti. This is dreamless sleep. It's a deep, heavy blanket of bliss and peace where there are absolutely no desires, no dreams, and no duality, though interestingly, we experience it in ignorance. Consciousness here is just an undifferentiated mass. There's no mental chatter, no daily suffering, no division whatsoever between you and what you're observing. But here is the really fascinating part, highlighted by the sources. When you wake up from this state, you usually stretch and say, wow, I slept so well, I was completely out. But wait. If you didn't know anything at all, who exactly is the one remembering that it was a good, peaceful sleep? That means consciousness was still there, buzzing in the background, just without any specific object to look at. Section 3. Turiya, the 4th state, the the silence after a yum.
Now, here's where things take a massive twist. Turiya, it is not a fourth sequential step. I mean, because we wake up and our everyday ego and suffering immediately come rushing back, we realize we're just endlessly cycling through waking, dreaming, and deep sleep over and over. They're all temporary, which means there has to be a foundation, right? A permanent canvas that these three temporary states are painted on. Turiya literally translates to the fourth, but the text is incredibly careful to explain that it does not come after deep sleep. It is the pure background awareness that exists during waking, during dreaming, and during deep sleep. It is the profound silence from which the sound of emerges, and the very same silence it dissolves back into. Because it's the pure witness that just observes everything else happening, Turiya is completely beyond the mind, beyond language, and totally beyond the duality of subject and object. The 7th verse of the Upanishad states this explicitly. You literally cannot perceive it like an everyday object, because it is the perceiver. Think of it like this. Fire can burn a lot of things, but fire cannot burn itself, right? In the exact same way, this pure consciousness cannot make itself an object of your finite senses. It is simply the cessation of all phenomena. It's pure peace, and it is entirely non-dual.
Section 4, the ultimate truth, non-duality or Advaita Vedanta. So, this brings us to the climax of our journey, the crucial, absolute ultimate point, that the individual self, known as Atman, and the absolute cosmic reality, known as Brahman, are exactly the same thing. The entire philosophy of non-dualism is perfectly expressed right here. The text uses Om as a practical tool to help you transcend the illusion of duality. It proves that the waking, dreaming, and deep sleep states are just temporary, fleeting expressions. The only actual, unchanging reality is that pure background awareness, Turiya. And the wild part? That exact awareness inside of you is completely identical to the underlying reality of the entire cosmos. Realizing this unity, truly grasping that there is zero separation between you and the cosmos, completely dispels the illusion of everyday life. It provides a direct path to liberation or moksha. According to Adi Shankaracharya, you don't need elaborate external rituals. Just deeply contemplating this truth and genuinely understanding the teachings in these 12 short verses is enough. True knowledge of this unity ends all suffering, simply because suffering relies on feeling separate, limited, and bound by time and space. So, what's the big takeaway from today's explainer? Remember that these 4 quarters of consciousness are a verified, tested map that you personally navigate every single day of your life. The A is your outward waking life. The U is your inner dreaming mind. The M is that heavy bliss of deep sleep. And the profound silence that holds all of them together is Turiya, your true, unchanging self. This isn't just some distant, abstract, philosophical concept. We're talking about the very mechanics of your daily existence. As you transition from waking to dreaming and eventually sink into deep sleep tonight, I really want to leave you pondering the nature of that silent presence watching it all happen. You see, the Mandukya Upanishad doesn't just ask you to blindly believe its 12 verses. It directly challenges you to investigate your own awareness. So tell me, who is the knower that remains when the entire world disappears into sleep? I'll leave you to explore that silence for yourself.